It's a new day, Noonan. Yes, it is, and I am the square that fits in a round hole. Which typically you'd be like, well, that don't work. You can't do that if you're like playing with blocks. But that's what makes me special is in society, I am a square, and society is a round hole, and somehow I fit. Because misfits be matching fits with the society. You know, I'm not a deep person. I'm not a smart person. But what I am is a adorable, hilarious person with a big old golden heart. But my heart, you know this, all that glitters is gold, only shooting stars breaks the mold. The special guest I have today is the real all-star of breaking the mold, glitters gold. Hey, now you're an all-star. She is the real smash mouth of all-stars. She has a much more golden heart than me, which isn't too difficult to do. But one of the... I've spoken to her twice now in person. We've talked on text and stuff. One of the seemingly just best people in the world thus far is where I'm at on this person. They didn't know I was going to say that. You know how usually when you meet people, there's something you don't like about them. And there's, like, maybe, even if it's something small, like they're boring, they talk too much, they're full of themselves, they're dumb looking, like nothing. It's just, this is an adorable, sweet, smart, kind, creative person. And they are connected to Seasons of Strength. Now, Seasons of Strength is, as we approach the 5-year anniversary of the tornado that came through Noonan, Seasons of Strength have put together, they've been collecting stories for years now. They've been partnering up. They've been just, the amount of work they've put into this performance, and it culminates in a performance. There's two performances that are happening March 21st and 22nd at Unity Baptist Church. But even just learning about the process of them putting this performance together has taught me a ton of stuff, and it has brought my attention to things about Noonan and things about partnership in Noonan and things about people in Noonan that I have never known. So learning about it, even if you know, hey, in March 21st and 22nd, I'm going to be in Cancun getting wild. Okay, that's cool. But learn about this project because it kind of will change the way, if you haven't been really involved in the community, it might make you want to be really involved in the community. There's a lot to take from it, more so than just, there's a project about the tornado, about the surviving of the tornado, about how we came together, and there's going to be performances. There's a lot to take from it. So go to seasonsofstrengthnoonan.org to learn about it. They have a link that says our story, the performance, become a sponsor, donate, and get tickets. All these links are worth clicking. There's going to be a video presentation, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be music, there's going to be singing, that just takes these stories and puts them into a creative way to connect Noonan. And it's just, it's fascinating the amount of work people put into their creativity. Like, I feel like I've done a lot for Harold, but I haven't. It's pretty. I like people that make me want to be better at the things I do. So today's podcast episode is an interview with the person who put all this together with lots of help from others. They'll tell you all about how it came to be, who they are, and how you can support Seasons of Strength. So let's hop into that interview now, baby. And they are here with me right now. We are joined by the ever lovely, ever transvescent. Is that a way to describe somebody? Translucent? No, that's like see-through. I think transvestant's a word, isn't it?
Sure. It can be today.
Yes, the transvestant lovely Gwendolyn. Yeah, well, it's Gwendoline today.
Gwendoline is... You want to know why Gwendoline brings up something for me?
Oh, sure.
Well, we probably won't use this in the podcast.
We'll see. It depends. We'll see.
It's in Germany. There's a song by Die Ärzte. So it's a famous band over there called Gwendoline, and it is about a dominatrix named Gwendoline.
Okay.
And which is like cool, but also
we're supportive of dominatrix.
Yeah, I mean,
here in Team Harold. We are.
We're sex positive here.
Support. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, but that was
girlfriend
always the
owns
reason
black.
why Gwendoline and Gwendolyn. I draw the difference because I don't want expectations. So
Very, very fair. Have you seen Coraline, the movie Coraline?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of our favorite movies over here. So when a kid annoys me, I just take their first name and just add Jones to the end, because whenever Coraline's in trouble, her mom goes, Coraline Jones, and she gets in trouble. So I'll just be like, well, I don't want to say my kid's name, but I'd be like, Harold Jr. Jones, and everybody knows that, that means they're in trouble, even though we're just using Coraline. Jokes.
that is cute.
So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, before we jump into what the Seasons of Strength is.
At this point, who am I without Seasons of Strength? It's like everything for me at the moment. But I'm Gwendolyn Coleman. I grew up Gwendolyn Reed, so some of you who went to high school with me might know me by that name. I went to Noonan High. We moved to Noonan in 95, and so I went to Evans and Noonan High and graduated and went off to pursue a career.
My kid goes to Evans. Do you know my kid? Did you guys go to school together?
We did not go to school at the same time, I don't believe.
Just checking.
Might have been separated by about 30 years.
Maybe.
Yeah, so, and then I went off and started pursuing an opera career. And that had me end up in Germany, where I got a master's and I worked for 10 years in the field.
Is it a master's in opera?
Yeah, you can do that. Can you believe it?
That?
Yeah, you can do that.
Wait, is that what your master's is in?
Yeah.
You have a master's in opera.
Actually, okay,
Or
let's
be
technical.
Yeah, technical.
I have a master's in Lied, Oratorium and Konzert.
Oh my God.
So I actually went into the concert rep, which was kind of weird because I'm actually really more of a stagehound. Like, I really love performing characters on stage. But really at the time, I didn't feel like my voice was ready for the big rep that like a voice like mine will end up doing.
Okay.
On opera stages. So I was like, well, let me chill here in the LOK Masters over in the University of the Arts in Berlin. And then my next
like
master's.
I just throw that out like, yeah, whatever. Just my master's in the University of the Arts of Berlin.
I mean, I will forever be grateful for that place because that's why I don't have any student debt.
Okay.
Because
is that how you met your husband too?
no, I actually did an exchange program my last year of my undergrad. I did my undergrad down in Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
At the School of Music there. And I went to Dortmund, of all places, which at the time I didn't know how random that was. But Dortmund is like, yep. I feel like I'm just going so off subject right now.
No, this is the good stuff.
Okay, good.
People are way more interested in what you're doing in Noonan if they know who you are. We get plenty of just things thrown in our face of what's happening, but who's doing it? That's the interesting part.
Yeah. And I had just always wanted to see the world, and that's part of why I wanted to be an opera singer, because I was like, well, I've got this talent. People in my church, David Kinray, people in at Noonan High School, Kathy Bazarth, the choir director there, were really supportive of it, and so I was like, well, let me try it. Let me see how far I can get with it. And
how far did you get with it? What's the biggest thing you did? I'm sure it's something that I've never heard of. It'll be like Josh Vinfest or something like that.
I was, okay, it's hard to say which. So I'll say I was in the chorus of the Deutsche Oper Berlin.
Of course.
Which,
my favorite.
You too? Awesome.
Yeah.
So
I have them on vinyl. I just listen to it on my record player.
you could. You really could.
Yeah, I know, Gwendolyn. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So they that was really cool because they had just been voted like the best opera chorus in Germany, which is really saying something because there's still a lot of ensemble theaters with opera choruses. And the cool thing about being in an opera chorus is like you're an artist. Like if you're listening to this as an artist of any kind, imagine this. You wake up every day, you eat your Wheaties or whatever, you go to work and you're making art all day. And then you come home and go to bed and you wake up and you do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have full-time wages, full-time benefits. You can be in a union if you want. If you don't really mess up a lot, you have that job until you're 65 and can retire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The situation's changing a lot in Berlin as it is everywhere with like established institutions like that, but it's like the most secure place to make art. And that was really cool. I think the thing that made it big to me was that you had these international opera stars coming through and you're on stage singing with them. You're like, holy crap, like, that's Angela Mead.
I'm assuming that's a
Angela,
person.
yeah, I'm trying to think of Joyce DiDonato was one of the big ones that
I love her.
Yeah.
Got all her Spotify playlists saved on vinyl.
And just to be able to share space with somebody like that who has really perfected their art form in such a way, and be around people like the ensemble soloists who were working all over the world and just be able to be in that energy, that was super cool. And then I'd say the thing as a soloist that I did that was probably the biggest was I was a Valkyrie in Die Valkyrie. Dun, 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 dun,
Yes.
dun, dun.
Okay. Hey, I knew something.
Yeah, that was me.
Cool. I had a new one. Yeah.
Yeah, you knew one.
Now, the way people think about opera, it's usually a lady wearing like a horn with a crown on, or like horns.
One
on
of the
thing,
Valkyries,
and
basically.
they just stand there and they're yelling and glass breaks.
Yeah.
Is what people consider opera? Do you think that is fair, or how would you explain opera to somebody who, let's say you met like a hillbilly mountain man. Let's say you met someone in Turin, Georgia, and they were like, "What's this opera I hears about?" How would you explain it to them? I guess you could just do it. I'm not saying you should sing opera right now, but I'm saying I guess that'd be the best way to learn opera, really.
Yeah, it's all the things at once. One thing that Wagner called it was Gesamtkunstwerk. So it's like a total artwork. So you have the visual element, you have like actual like visual art because of the set, because of the lighting design, the hair, the costumes. You have so you have the visual, you have the audio, so you have an orchestra, you have trained voices singing. You have the plot. You have somebody who wrote a whole plot. And it's like it all comes together to tell a story. So the writing, the visual, the music, often dancing as well, definitely acting, especially if you've got a good opera singer who knows how to act. Not always common. But that all comes together and you're experiencing it all at once, and it's the amalgamation of all of those things that tells a story. And that's what opera is. Yeah. I think all of these like highfalutin ideas that we have about it, of that like opera is for people who are rich, fair, because it takes a lot of money to make something like that, because it's a lot of art at once, and all people make art and people have to eat. So it's like, it is an expensive thing to make. One thing that I enjoyed about Germany, and I enjoy about places that really feel like opera is theirs, like this is an art form that belongs to our society, so we're going to support it with money, from taxes often. Like, this is something that we feel like is worth investing in. It means that it is also something that belongs to the people because the people can afford to come see it.
Yeah.
So like tickets to the Deutsche Oper, if you're a student, you can get something called the Classic Card, and it costs €10 to show up the night of. Whatever tickets are left, you can end up in the front row.
Oh, wow.
For $10, and you're like 23 and getting to experience some of the best opera the world has to offer. And that is something I miss here in America, because I think what happened with opera in America is that it was this way for people who had, come from Europe and were trying to establish a society. It's a way that they made to differentiate, oh, you can afford opera, you can't.
Gotcha.
Yeah. we are better than you because we're consuming this art form. We don't actually care about the art form in many cases. We just care that we can afford to be here. So we're going to dress to the nines. We're going to make tickets that actually pay for everybody on stage, which means they're hundreds of dollars. And we're going to make this more of a status symbol than an art form. And I really think that's where opera has gone wrong in general, but especially in America, and why nobody gives a crap about it. I can say I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like why in the opera world, like, there is a real conversation of like, why is everybody getting so old, and why does nobody give a shit about opera anymore?
Yeah.
And my take is, well, is opera serving anyone? Who is opera serving? If your art form isn't serving anyone, then who cares?
Yeah, I think it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, so I do think that there is a line between, like, are we making something that we're just making it because we think we're making it so it's easy to consume, so that a lot of people will consume it and we can sell a lot of tickets. There's that. And there's like actual art that's saying something about the world, that is helping people feel something that maybe they didn't really know how to access and feel. That to me is art. And that also costs just as much as the easily consumable art. Mm-hmm. But the easily consumable art pays for itself. And the art that isn't as easy to consume because it's like touching on stuff that you couldn't access before, so maybe it's kind of painful for you to consume it at first, but it actually helps you work through that feeling, like it's doing what art is supposed to do. Harder to sell tickets to that.
Yeah.
So I still believe in like people pooling together as a society and saying we still think that art is important. But I also think art has really gone off track in America in many forms. But I mean, what I know about is opera. And it's like, opera was like, well, a lot of people who produce opera were like, well, you know what? It's easy for people to consume the stuff they've heard of. So we're just going to keep making all of this. We're going to keep making all of this stuff by dead white dudes who have been rotting in the ground for a good 200 years. And we're going to call this the best. There was actually like a convention held in like the 1930s by a bunch of white dudes who were like,
as most conventions were in the 1930s
were at the time, that set the canon. And the canon is like the best works of opera. And they've done this with all sorts of things, with like the classics of literature and all that kind of stuff. All of this stuff was like chosen by people, and those people had a certain point of view. And now we're dealing with the ramifications of that because it only spoke to a certain set of people.
Yeah.
It only told the story of a certain set of people. So, and now those people have also moved on. So if we keep just performing the canon, then of course no one cares. We're not telling their story. Like, we're not doing our job as artists. So a lot of what Seasons of Strength is for me is like, how can I take this? all this repertoire that I've learned, this whole art form that I've learned how it works and like what it takes to make an opera. How can I take all of these tools and make something that's actually relevant for the world? And let me start with my hometown that has an incredible story that matters, that actually matters to the whole world, because Noonan's not the only place that a EF4 tornado has come to. Noonan's also not the only place that a natural disaster has come to. But Noonan has a phenomenal story of how people showed up for each other.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be reminded in a media landscape, in a political landscape that tells us over and over again that we're scary, that we're separate, that we're different from each other. We need to be reminded that actually, no, we all care about each other. We're actually really good. People are good. And that's what, like, artistically, that's what I'm trying to do with Seasons of Strength, but also societally. I guess that's just what I have to say about society, is just to be like, people are fundamentally pretty awesome, and I can prove it, you know?
Yeah, that's something I talk about a lot on here is, and people don't like when you say it, that everybody's got something good about them and something that you can find. So how long ago was it where you realized this is what you wanted to do regarding the tornado in Noonan?
It was 2 weeks after the tornado.
Oh, wow.
Whenever they opened up LaGrange Street, whenever they were like, you know what, you can drive through now as a normal person. Because I moved to the area in 2021, and from California. We had done the pandemic in California, and I was just kind of done from being so far away from my husband's family, who's in Germany, my family who's in Noonan, and so we were like, let's move closer to support networks. And we got on the plane. I want to say it was like a week after the tornado hit. And I remember before we got on the plane, my dad called me and was like, you know what, you need to know that a tornado came through Noonan. It's not going to be the same. And at that point, I had lived away from Noonan about, I want to say 17 years.
Oh, wow.
In probably about, I was counting it up the other day, about 16 places. And Noonan had always been the anchor for me. You know how your family is. I mean, my family is my anchor, and my family's in Noonan. So it's just, there was always going to be a place that I could come back to that I knew about, that I know how it works, and it feels like home.
Okay.
And that was the first time I'd ever gotten that call of like, this place that you're from is not going to be the same. And so I waited. We stayed with my family in Noonan while we were looking for a place to live. And I waited until they opened up LaGrange Street, and I drove through downtown. And I remember cresting that bridge, the LaGrange Street Bridge, and just being like, oh, you know, like everyone had that punch in the gut moment, right?
Yeah.
It's it's this big panorama snapshot of whoa, you know? And in the year before, part of what really was like, I'm done with California, was we were in the pandemic, so we couldn't really go out, we couldn't go anywhere else. We were in a little apartment in Oakland. Everything cool about Oakland was closed. We couldn't even crack the windows because there were so many wildfires going on all around the bay, and the bay acts like a little bowl. It just keeps all the winds blowing right. It's just all going to sit there. And I remember that morning when we woke up and the whole sky was this like black pink color. And the whole bay was like this. It made like the national papers. And it was just because of this like 180 degrees, like this half circle around the ocean was burning, and all of the smoke was going into the bay. And it was some of my favorite forest down south of the bay was burning, and that's like where we had taken our son for his first time camping, and we were like under the redwoods, and I remember him looking up at those redwoods and just being so amazed, you know, and knowing that those were burning. That campsite was burning. And I was so sad and so like, I just want to go home. I'm done. And then to get home and see and get over this bridge and see my favorite forest in Noonan gone. And I was like, okay, I don't have anywhere to go. Like, and I'm done being I'm done being sad. I've been sad for over a year now. I'm going to make something with this. Because that's kind of what we do as artists, right? It's like it's alchemy. Like, that's actually what alchemy means. It's not trying to make gold out of something. It's trying to take something that's really actually kind of crappy and make it beautiful so that you can move forward, so that you can see that no matter what happens, life is still here, life is still happening, and you're in it. And that in itself is a gift. And I think that's really what, in the end, Seasons of Strength is about.
So from that first conception of just the idea, when did it become something where you knew you had support and interest and it was really going to like take place at this date and come together? I mean, it may still not feel that way, but when did it feel like, this is a reality now?
Yeah, it's been in stages, right? Like, 2022, I did the first interviews, and really fundamentally, I was fascinated with two questions. I was like, what is this going to do to this place that I'm from? So is this going to be the same town after this? What's this going to do to us as people? And how fascinating that no one died directly from the tornado that night. We had Barry Martin, who unfortunately passed of a heart attack from the stress, but no one died directly because of the tornado. And so I started interviewing people, and the first people I interviewed were like, at the time, the director of the Coweta Community Foundation, Kristen Webb, Pam Gable from the local American Red Cross chapter, Melanie Reeves, the director of River Life, and Kelly Eager Nelson, the director of BTG, or Bridging the Gap at the time. And maybe it was the people I interviewed, but I also think this was really the story, and that was, no, you don't understand. Like, Noonan showed up for each other. And Noonan showed up in a way that not every town shows up for each other. Noonan was coordinated in a way that not every town is coordinated.
What do you mean?
So I think the best way of explaining this is everyone was all like nonprofit leaders, government leaders, city county leaders, nonprofit leaders, church leaders were convening at emergency management from like that Saturday. It hit Thursday night. I think they were already meeting on Friday, but like everyone was descending on Emergency Management Center by that Saturday. The VOADs, the national organizations, didn't even show up until Monday or Tuesday because they need time to like organize all of their stuff. Like maybe they have some representatives there, but they're like all of the Red Cross and the FEMAs and the GMAs. They couldn't.
The GMAs?
The GMAs.
Is that a thing?
That's Georgia's.
You just made that up.
No, it's Georgia's FEMA. Every state has a FEMA.
Wouldn't it be a G FEMA then? So they just
Because F is for federal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I know it. I knew FEMA and I knew the other one, but I was like, GMA, is that real?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
So like, and one thing that the Red Cross said was like, the first thing we do is try to gather together all of you, because normally after a natural disaster, all of the local leaders are just running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to like help their people and trying to do their mission, which is help other people. Hi, and they're not necessarily talking to each other because they're so busy, right? I mean, it's totally understandable. But there were so many relationships already in place in Coweta County that, and so many cool heads really in positions of power who were like, no, we need to get everybody together and it as soon as possible. And we need to all be talking so that we're not, we're not trying to do the same thing twice. Let these people who do this thing well do their thing well, and we'll tell you what the needs are over in our community. And we here who do this thing well will do that thing really well. So you didn't have a lot of people doubling up on tasks and wasting resources and time. So it was like Coweta County was positioned already to move so much quicker through the recovery than a lot of other places that don't already know each other so well, where the leaders don't already know each other so well. And a lot of that was because of COVID and Coweta County's reaction to COVID. They were very collaborative in how they handled that. So like Melanie Reeves was telling me, Melanie Reeves and River Life was on the phones at emergency management, and she actually built a whole team that was a call center for you would call there if you wanted to help or if you needed help.
Okay.
But it wasn't like the emergency call line. This was just the like, I need help with this thing. I need this resource, or I have this resource. Where do I go with it? And she got together a whole team, and they like lived there practically for a couple of months. I don't even think even 3 months. And she was telling me that her task was made so much easier because all of the work that nonprofit and government and school leaders had done in the previous year in COVID, because she knew where those resources were. She knew who had what, and she knew who to send people to. And a lot of that collaboration came from a lot of things that built up after the Nazis came to town in 2018. So in 2018, a lot of people don't know that hashtag Noon and Strong actually started in 2018 and not from the tornado in 2021. So you know this, but for those who don't, in 2018, shortly after Charlottesville, a group of neo-Nazis announced to the Noonan city government, like, hey, we're going to come and do a demonstration in Noonan. And basically they wanted the photo op of downtown, and they wanted to, spew their hatred all over Noonan. And funny thing was, they got a permit, and I didn't know this until I talked to Cletus. I thought it was super interesting. But Cletus was like, look, they could have come to downtown without a permit. It's the First Amendment right. They can do it.
Yeah.
But I gave them for a $25 permit, I was able to say, okay, you can't leave that park. We're not gonna have you walking around downtown like they did in Charlottesville. Like, you have to stay in that park. We're gonna have, and then they could like put all of these resources around it. Like, we can have these cyclone fences around you.
Yeah.
And then when your time is over, we're cutting the electricity to the park. So they were like trying to talk in their microphones, and all of a sudden it wasn't working. Like, oh, we've got technical difficulties. No, like, your time's up. You're done. So, and there was this massive outpouring from the rest of the community, which was like, a lot of people wanted to run from it. A lot of people wanted to ignore it. But most people were like, no, we're going to stand up and we're going to say, this is not us. This is not what we're about. And that's how hashtag Noon and Strong came from Nathan Brain, a local state farm agent. He was like, you know what? We're stronger than this hate. And that's what Noon and Strong meant. And people came up with Noon and Strong t-shirts, and there was a huge rally the night before, and there was all this chalk on sidewalks, and love over hate, or love conquers hate, all this kind of stuff. And so that they had to walk over that in their the Nazis had to walk over that in their tactical uniforms and their stupid signs and flags. And it just showed how ridiculous they are.
Yeah.
And the people who were behind, like the local leaders, like from churches, from just a lot of different local organizations who made this rally that happened the night before, where all the sidewalk chalk was happening, where these prayer rallies were happening. They were talking often for the first time, or maybe they knew each other, but this is the first time they were making something happen together. So that started these conversations. One other big thing that came out of that was a pastor's luncheon, where all of the pastors from all over Coweta County were meeting for the first time, some of them.
Oh, wow.
Like,
I haven't heard about this.
yeah. So it was something they had been trying to start before. Hal Cranford and Cynthia Jenkins and several other people whose names I'm sorry I've forgotten. We're trying to really get together, like all of the sides of Noonan, like new Noonan, old Noonan, black Noonan, white Noonan, and a lot of where the center of our society is in a place like Coweta County is the church. So getting together all those pastors and getting them talking to each other. So to kind of work through Noonan's history of race and racism, but also like how do you do that? You actually get to know each other as people, and you start to care about each other, and that it really kicked off actually at the same time as the rally. There was a unity service over at St. Smyrna Baptist, and the leader of, or the head pastor at First Baptist, Jimmy Patterson, actually got up and like read the will of one of his ancestors, where he was leaving his chattel to his children. And he's up there, this white guy in front of this mixed crowd, and he said, you know what, that was wrong. No one should ever have anyone they can leave to anyone else. And Cynthia Jenkins told me about this other member of her church, the black church, who was just like, it is so nice not to be gaslit.
Yeah.
And to say, you know what, this happened. Now what are we going to do after it? And it was after that this luncheon started. And so all of these pastors were getting to know each other's communities, know where the resources are, know where the needs are. So when COVID comes, when a tornado comes, you've got everybody in your phone. You don't have to Google who has what. You already know. So it's that kind of infrastructure of community that was built in Noonan over the course of years. Like I could have made the story like start in the early 2000s about other ways that Noonan has collaborated. I just figured let's start with hashtag Noonan Strong and how that began. But it's an ethos that has existed for a long time in Coweta County of let's work together, let's not compete, let's work together. This is not about ego. This is about, is the job getting done? It's the job that needs to get done getting done. No? Okay, well let's work together to make it happen. But also like years of intentional work to make sure that the people who needed to know each other knew each other.
So when you started your work on making this thing happen, I think you had said that you hadn't been around for 17 years. You've been moving about. How did any of these people know you? Did any of these people, political people or church people or law enforcement people, or it's like there's just this lady that's just coming in here
lady.
and is talking about opera?
I'm not talking to anybody about opera because at the time I didn't even realize what I was doing was an opera. It wasn't even until a few weeks ago where our choreographer Paulo Manso de Souza, who's with Southern Art, he turned to me and was like, Gwendolyn, this is an opera. I was like,
he would know. So that's fair.
Yeah. He actually came up in at the Met. He was a statist. He was an extra at the Met, the Metropolitan Opera in New York, for years when he was really young, and they ended up looking and be like, you need to go to the ballet because you're really great at dancing. And he'd done dancing there, but it was like, you need to like really commit to that. But he loved the opera.
Yeah.
I love that story from him. But yeah. So at the time, I didn't really understand that I was making opera. I knew I was doing a big development or innovation on how to perform concert music,
Okay.
and in general, how to think about what classical music can do for the world that exists right now, instead of trying to replicate some sound that happened 200 years ago that nobody had a recording of anyway. So how are we ever going to know? So I knew that's what I was doing. And I knew that I was making something that was specifically for my town, my
Okay.
hometown. And I approached Kathy Bazarth, my old chorus teacher. I approached David Kinraid, my old choir director at First Methodist. And they were like, it sounds like a good idea. David, by the way, it really mattered what they thought to me because, they've lived here and they've lived here for so long and done so much in the community. So to have that, like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea, meant something to me.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah. And then when I really started going was at the end of 2023. I applied for the fiscal sponsorship from the Coweta Community Foundation, at the time, now Caring Communities Foundation.
Okay.
And I got that right at the end of 2023. And that's when I just like, okay, this is my work now. And what was great about partnering with CCF was that they were such a hub during the tornado recovery, and they've kind of stayed a hub for like philanthropic stuff in Coweta County. So they knew so many of the people that I needed to talk to.
Yeah.
So I go with, hey, it's this project about this thing and about the tornado, and Kristen Webb said I needed to talk to you, or and a lot of it was like from those first interviews, I was like, who should I talk to from here? Okay, now I'm gonna talk to those people. Who should I talk to from here? And then I realized I also want people to tell their story that I would never be able to find. There's no way that I could know this person, but they want to tell their story. I wanted that kind of person.
Okay.
So that's how we set up the listening stations. So we had like listening booths just like this, like we're doing right here. We had one set up at the Noonan Coweta History Center, starting in the fall of 2024. And it was just open every week. I had some volunteers who would come in when people would book a listening session, and they would come in and tell their story. And then I was like, okay, again, a lot of the center of life being church, let's go to where people are. Mm-hmm. So we went to about, I want to say 6 churches, or was it 5 churches in Noonan High School, and the African American Cultural Heritage Museum, and Coweta Force. So we went to several churches and set up on a Sunday so that right after church, people could come in and tell their story as well. And we got a lot of great stories that way.
Yeah.
But I wanted, especially like talking to tornado survivors who were helping me out, because a lot of the people on our team have lived through the tornado or had people close to them live through the tornado. And one important thing they told me was just like, some people are just not ready to tell their story. Mm-hmm. So if you have somebody who's like, oh, you should talk to so-and-so, and then I go to try and talk to so-and-so, and they're just like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not ready.
Yeah, don't take it personal.
Yeah, you don't take it personally, but it's also like, how can we just provide the space for someone who is ready to be able to come in and tell it? Mm-hmm. And I think that was a lot the way that we did it. I did really go out and seek the people who led the recovery. I had several, just last August, we had several sessions at the CEC with leaders of the recovery, and I gathered them together in like groups of 4 and 5.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that they could all talk to each other and reminisce together. I also like did it by category, so like I knew you guys had something to do with each other while you were working on this, so like you can reminisce together. And that was cool because that really brings out a different side than when you're talking to somebody who is interested, but is just asking you questions because they weren't there.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm there asking you questions because I wasn't there, but you're there with everybody that you were there with, you know?
Yeah, that's special. That's cool.
It was really special. We got some great moments from that.
Was there anyone that told you just don't do it? This is a bad idea. This is not what we need to be focusing on and thinking about. Did you get anything like that?
I had one person who actually came and told her story and was like, I don't know why y'all won't get over this.
After they told the story, they said
Yeah,
that?
it was like during her interview. I think there was this one part of the interview where I would always say, like, what is your perspective now after all of this is over? Mm-hmm. And she was like, I just don't know why people won't get over it.
I like the honesty, honestly.
Yeah, I did. I loved it.
I like that.
I loved it. I was like, and her perspective was like, she had lost a child years before. Mm-hmm. And she was just like, until you've lost somebody, it's not a tragedy. Like that was her bar. And that's totally fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think everyone agrees with that. Like, everyone looks at this disaster and sees the fact that they were spared. Mm-hmm. And like even people who did lose somebody, they see the miracle that no one else died directly because of it, you know? So I think it's a completely fair point of view. And at the same time, she was there to tell her story, you know? So I don't know. I think it's also a thing that, like, very much in the South, not many people are going to come up to your face and be like, why are you doing this?
Right.
You know, they're just...
I didn't know if somebody in a higher position leadership role in the county might say something or be like, don't do this. They're a lot more outspoken.
Yeah, there are plenty of people who are just like, oh, I'm done with the tornado.
Yeah.
I'm super done with the tornado. Like, please don't say the T word around me.
T-word.
And that's definitely been a thing with funding, like, because a lot of people were, like, poured everything they had into helping their community recover. Mm-hmm. And now here I come along, I'm like, I'm going to tell the story. Like, good luck with that, you know? And I get it.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's a loop that gets closed when you tell the story, that if you don't, it just kind of hangs out there and you don't really know what the point of all of it was. You don't understand. It's like, what we're able to do as artists and storytellers is give context. And there's something so powerful about having context to your tragedy. Mm-hmm. To understand that it fits into this bigger, broader mosaic that we're all building together. That, like, I'm not the only one that went through this thing. I think that's one thing that was powerful for me in making this was starting to hear the same stories repeat. And they were still very special stories to that person, of course, because it's their life. And as I'm, weaving the stories together, and I feel bad because we've never actually said what's going on with this project, but
it'll be I'll do in the intro thing.
So, like, as I'm weaving these stories together, I'm like, oh, okay, this is a recurring theme. So I need to put it in here. Who says it best, or who says it, and then we can turn it just a little on the side, and this other person says it this way. Mm-hmm. And I know it's powerful for people who went through that to sit there and listen and be like, oh wow, I wasn't the only one that happened with. Like, I'm actually more connected to my neighbor than I thought I was. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's something that we're missing in general by sending our artists out to faraway places like New York or Berlin or LA to tell all our stories for us, because then it means that the stories start to get really homogenized. Like, I remember the first time I went to New York, I felt like I had been there like 20 times. And it was because I had seen Seinfeld, and I had seen Friends, and I had seen, all this culture that is made in New York about New York because that's where the artists go, because they can get paid to make their work, right? And so the stories that artists always tell stories that the best stories are the ones you tell because you lived them, right?
Yeah.
And so by not nurturing art locally, we don't get our stories told.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost track of what I was trying to say with that. Oh, yeah. So we often don't have the experience of what it is like to have your story reflected back to you, to have it alchemized, to have somebody make something beautiful out of it. And so I think that there's a real hole there in what art can do for the world because we have delocalized it so much. Like making it an art means that you're living in one of those major cities and somebody's paying you to make stories of things that you've experienced, and you make stories about where you're living and the life you're having, right? Mm-hmm. So this is kind of my experiment of steering against that and having my town experience what it is like to have art be made with their experience. Because I did run into a lot of people who didn't think that this project was a bad idea, but they didn't think that they had a story to tell.
Okay.
They didn't think that their story was significant or worth telling. And I think that is so untrue and sad to hear sometimes. This like, no, but you're a human living a life in this world. Like, of course you have a story worth telling. All of us have a novel in us. So, yeah, I feel like I'm getting really wild and rambly. So
No, this is the
Rein me
easiest
in.
interview I've ever done thus far in my life. And don't forget, y'all, I interviewed the mayor. So this is easier than the mayor. So take that, James. Last question, and then I'll let you promote anything you want to promote. So with this being a project, I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but you're like, yeah, this is going to be my work for the next couple of years. With it being a project that is, you have a goal in mind, part of it is work. There's a lot of business side to it. But then there is so much of a personal connection through all these things. You are hearing these stories, and it is a town that you grew up in. Do you ever have trouble separating the two and keeping the big picture in mind? Like, have there been stories or people I've told where you've just completely lost yourself in it, and you've been like, I forgot what I was here to do because this person was so engaging. Like during this podcast, I've forgotten that we were recording a podcast multiple times because I'm just listening to you talk. It's like, ooh, that's a soundbite. That's good. I never remember that from my personal life.
yeah, oh, wild. I will say, and I'm going to take your story and your question in a different direction.
I love that.
But I will say that in a lot of ways, it's healed my relationship with Noonan. I grew up we came here in 95, and Noonan's always been a lovely place, and it accepted my family. But in some ways it didn't. There was old money, there was new money, there was one side of the tracks or the other side of the tracks. There was a lot of that kind of thinking. And I remember always just kind of feeling like an odd duck.
Okay.
And I did end up finding my people about sometime in high school, and I had a great time. Like we were the misfits, and we just we were just the artsy farts, and we loved each other, and we still do. Like we still meet up all the time, and but there was this general feeling of like we belong because we don't belong, So I always had this weird relationship with belonging to Noonan. Like I belong to Noonan because I'm from here.
Right.
But do I belong to Noonan? I don't know. I don't have relatives buried in the cemetery here.
I can get this feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And to come back here and work on a project like this and hold space for these kinds of stories, it's the thing that I've learned from making art in general. And a lot of my art really centers on like sitting with someone and getting their story. the things I've made since I started thinking that I can make things, has been sitting with someone and getting their story and learning from that story. Just like you just said, I've got to remember that for my life. Like, I don't think that we make good art if we can't love the subject matter. If I didn't love Noonan, this project wouldn't be worth a crap.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that you can learn from the person across from you.
Okay.
Like, if you think that you know more than the person you're listening to, then whatever that person has to say is not going to be near as good as what it could be if you were giving them the space to teach you something new, to help you see the world in a different way. And to just have my hometown teach me about community, about what community actually means, the work that goes into creating that, the way of thinking that you have to constantly have in order to make that, the ways that that way of thinking is often just baked into the culture here that people don't even think about it. And having lived so many places now, I'm able to see that. It's really been a beautiful experience. Like, I didn't think that I could live again in a place like Noonan. Because I kind of felt like, suburb, I've done it. I really like living in cities. And also I think the big perk I've always had about living in cities is you don't belong with a bunch of people who don't belong, so you belong.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Never lived in a city, but
yeah,
I get your point.
Yeah, I mean, the cities are just filled with people who moved there, and who this city is probably one stop of many cities in their life.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a real transience that is not present here in Noonan. People come here to raise their families and have grandchildren and have great grandchildren. There's a real stability here that I don't think I had understood or felt part of until now, which is like super ironic because, to be completely honest, we ended up moving to Atlanta, and I've been commuting back and forth to my hometown, which my parents make fun of me relentlessly for.
As they should.
As they should. They're like, "Are we serious? We're going up to take care of your kids so you can come down to where we live. Why will you not just buy a house down here?" And it's been the course of making this project where now I'm like considering it all the time.
Yeah.
Because I understand there's so much more that I understand about the beauty of a town like this and the love that goes into creating this that I just couldn't understand until I opened myself up to be taught. I really think that we're in a time now where like all the big city liberals are like super interested in how to make community. It's like a huge conversation, and it's an important conversation, and it's like an art that we've all forgotten, and Noonan hasn't. And I think it's really cool to make a project that can show the world what that kind of community looks like in practice, and what it takes to build it. The kind of commitment, the kind of love it takes to build it.
The way you talk about it almost makes me not want to make fun of it as much as I do. Still gonna. Because it's out of love.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it works, right?
I hope. That's why I think it works.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why you have so many followers and so many likes. It's like, if it was out of a place of, let me take the piss out of this place that it's just... No.
Never.
Exactly. But that's why people love it.
All right, before we head out of here, I want you, because I've always done my best to promote this thing and when it happens and the specifics. I want you to just lay out basically everything in the next couple weeks that people need to know, that you want them to know about Seasons of Strength.
Oh, gosh.
How to experience it, how to support it.
Yeah. So you can go to how to experience it, first and foremost. go to our website, www.seasonsofstrengthnoonan.org, and click Get Tickets. Then click what day you would like. Then click Buy. Then you'll be taken to the Better World platform where you can actually click to purchase the ticket. I'm sorry, it's so many steps. It's just how it is.
It's okay. It's the internet.
It's the internet.
People know how to use it now.
Yeah, bear with us. So then you'll have a ticket, and that's the most important way that you can experience this project. While you're at the actual ticketing platform, when you finally gotten there, you can also buy a ticket for a family of 4. That's $100. So if you want to send a tornado survivor family to the show who would not otherwise be able to come, you can do that. All of our sponsors are able to do that too. Every sponsor level comes with a set of tickets that they can give to their employees, but a matching set of tickets that goes to Bridging the Gap, and Bridging the Gap is distributing those tickets because Bridging the Gap, in case people don't know, they were part of the case management. They ran all the case management for the tornado, so they know who would need a ticket, basically. So far, last count, we had 56 people going for free. So if you want to support us further through that, you can do that.
You mentioned there are multiple times and dates to choose from. What are those?
Thank you. There's March 21st at 7 p.m. at Unity Baptist Church. So Unity Baptist had the second largest amount of damage during the tornado. So it was really cool to have a venue that had been through it.
I didn't realize that they
Yeah.
Wow.
Out on Smoky Road. And so that's at 7 p.m. on March 21st and 2 p.m. on March 22nd. And so you can buy 4 tickets for a family. You can buy tickets for yourself. If you just can't stop loving on us, you can also go to donate on our page and click donate. That'll take you to the Caring Communities Foundation website where you can enter any amount you want. We take all the zeros with ones in front of them, or twos or threes or fours.
All right.
with any number of digits before them. And if you want to sponsor, by the time you hear this, you probably won't get in the program, but we will still love on you in all of the ways that we can. And we still have a goal that we're needing to reach. We're in spitting distance of it, so that we can pay all of our artists fairly and pay our venue. So if you want to be part of that, we have levels starting at $1,500, and
Are tickets available day of at the door, or is this you need to get your tickets in advance? And if so, what is the cutoff date?
Tickets are available at the door, but I'd really rather you get them now.
Yes.
Yeah. Please get them now.
I run live events too, and yes, please get them in advance.
Please don't drive me crazy. Let me sleep better knowing that you're coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that you can do it if you're in a situation where you don't even know where you're going to be.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in town and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, is there anything coming in the next 2 weeks that has to do with Seasons of Strength? I know as we're recording this, there's karaoke tonight, but hopefully people will have already been there.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing that's happening is we have an art auction going with the Noonan Coweta Arts Association. A bunch of their artists have donated pieces to the project that are tornado inspired, and they're freaking beautiful. They're just gorgeous pieces. And it's a silent auction going on online. So you can go to our website and find the auction. I'm not exactly sure where it is at this moment, but you'll see it. Don't worry.
You'll find it.
You'll find it. And so you can place a bid. That's also another way to support us because 100% goes to Seasons of Strength. What else is happening? I'm in final rehearsals for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, your brain is.
My brain is there. We also have a raffle. If you give us your email address, you will be entered for a raffle. And we have amazing prizes, including getting a commercial with Noonan Time with
Okay,
Harold
so that's
himself.
okay. I was wondering which one I was doing.
Yeah, you're in the raffle. You're not in the art bid. You're not in the art
I
auction.
can make something. See that beautiful picture up there?
Nice.
I painted that. That's the side of the building on Court Square in downtown Noonan. I did a live painting. I didn't do it by myself. These two kids came up to me during the live stream like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm painting. You guys want to help me paint? As long as your dad's okay with you being on camera and stuff." So me and two kids, they signed the bottom. I can't remember what they signed it. We painted that of downtown Noonan. So
that is super
that's
cute.
the kind of art you can expect from me. This is a podcast, so me explaining the art on my wall is terrible for podcasting.
I was about to say, I hope you link to an image or something.
I'll post it. All right, well, you're lovely. Is there any advice that your grandparents ever gave you that's really good that you want to offer us at the end? And if you do offer it, you have to say it in an old Southern accent.
Trying to think of something my grandma said.
Your grandma were to be like, don't count your beans before they cook.
My grandma was always about stretching a penny till it could scream.
Oh, you got to say it in a grandma accent.
Adams. I can't talk like my grandma. Do you know Grandma G-Force on Wow in the World?
Is this what? That's not the grandma accent. What is this? You're trying to change subjects.